somewhere in the world right now, Khabib and Islam Makhachev and Umar and Usman and that whole Dagestani team, they are watching, trying to pull your game apart right now. How does that feel?
Feels right.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know, the win over him, claiming gold against multi-time champion, helps me solidify my goal in being the best lightweight in the world. I had seen some interviews and some things and posts and stuff like that. I was kind of like, man, this guy's overlooking me. When I looked him in the eyes yesterday, he's not overlooking me.
Hello everybody and welcome to Between Rounds presented by Guerrilla Energy. I'm Dan Hardy and I'm joined by one half of this weekend's main event, Archie Colgan, undefeated, taking on another undefeated fighter. This is, I mean, probably the biggest fight we could put together in the PFL right now is you and Usman. Like, where are you at as far as fight week goes? Where's your weight and how you feeling?
It's good. You know, I woke up today, you know, I was expecting to be maybe more like 12 over or something, and I'm under, so that's a good sign for me. You know, the cut will be nicer tonight and into the morning, obviously. Camp was great. You know, I've got a really established, experienced camp around me. You know, a lot of experience and smart people and understanding of what's the task at hand and ahead. And yeah, man, it's been a great journey. I'm ready to rock and roll in a couple of days.
So how do you solve a problem like Usman? I mean, he's had a lot of fights now. Obviously, Paul Hughes pushed him a little bit in a couple of those rounds. Like, what are you looking at in Usman's game, and how do you kind of prepare for it?
I mean, okay, so like, you know, I think that if you look at past opponents, they would try to sit around and give you an answer that doesn't really make sense. Like, we see the holes here, we see the holes here, and this is what we're going to exploit, this is what we're going to do. And that's, I mean, he's 22, 21 and 0. You know, it's like he hasn't lost. So, you know, multi-time champion. I would be lying if I was like, you know, we exploiting all this, we exploiting all this. Like, I feel like I've watched other people say, like, you know, past fights. And I think the truth is that I have to look within myself and see, you know, I haven't lost my fights either. Okay, he hasn't lost his fights. Now I have to look within myself and believe in the convictions that I have, and being composed and being strong and being able to do the same thing that I've done to everybody else, just like he believes he could do the same thing that he's done to everybody else. And I can do that same thing on Friday night, right? And I'm not trying to sit here and say that, you know, we're going to exploit all of this, because, you know, the guy's well-rounded. He's got good striking, he's got good wrestling, he's got good grappling. I have good striking, I got good wrestling, I got good grappling. I got good cardio, he got good cardio. You know, we're going to put it on the line. And that's what makes me so excited about it, is because, you know, like, I could have took the quote-unquote easier route to gold. Let's say, you know, that his goal is to test free agency and maybe slide off to a different organization, right? Then I could have maybe waited one more fight and then quote-unquote easier route. I didn't want that.
Yeah.
You know, the win over him, claiming gold against multi-time champion, helps me solidify my goal in being the best lightweight in the world. And that's what I want.
It's kind of like beating him straight away puts you in the conversation amongst the best lightweights in the world straight away. He's already in that conversation, right? And for me, our lightweight division, you know, compared to any other lightweight division in the world, is competitive. Does it feel different this time because you're fighting Usman, because he's undefeated, he's a Nurmagomedov? Like, did you have to do any additional work to kind of keep your confidence up and build that self-belief that this is a fight that you're going to win? Like, you were just talking, like, he's a good wrestler, I'm a good wrestler, he's got good cardio. It's almost like you're kind of checking the boxes to compare yourself to him and go, look, I can win this fight. Is that different to previous fights?
I think that the only real difference is just that I have, like, just the reminding of it. Just be like, you know, yeah, he is that, but you are that, you know, too. Instead of, you know, because like the past guys that I fought, they're all really good fighters. Mansour's a really good fighter. J.J. Wilson, really good fighter. Manuel Souza, a really good fighter. But, you know, they all had little holes where it's like, you know, you can plug and play and decipher from. And, you know, I'm not saying that he doesn't have any holes. because everybody does. But, you know, it's a little bit different. But I think that looking in within myself, you know, he has to look at that same puzzle and be like, damn, where are his holes at? You know, what are the things that he has to do? So I have to remind myself of that, because we're both human. We both put our socks on, both put our shoes on. You know, we both got to work out. We both have workouts that we don't want to do, and we do it. You know, and we're both just human beings. And I'm aware that there's a lot on the line, and I'm very excited to like test my skills to the fullest, because I don't think anybody has ever pushed me to my fullest potential in a fight in front of everybody else. In training, it's happened many times. In a fight in front of everybody else, I don't think anybody has ever seen my real full potential.
So is that exciting for you? Do you feel like you're going to discover a part of yourself because it's such a tough opponent?
100%.
Yeah, nice. I mean, that must be exciting, because, especially because you're trying to reach your potential, and you feel like you've not quite achieved it yet.
Yeah.
Does it change anything with this being 5 rounds? Have you changed anything in your camp for it?
I mean, we pushed a lot harder. I mean, we changed some things up. You know, typically for a 3-round fight, we don't really do more than like a 4 rounds in a sparring day.
Right.
But we did like the Shark Tank rounds, where it's, you know, you got a fresh guy for 5 rounds, and, you know, it's miserable for a couple of weeks, you know, a couple of weeks in a row. And then you start to pull back a little bit, and then do like, you know, 2 rounds with this guy, 3 rounds with that guy. So you can start to see yourself wearing and like putting the work in on somebody.
Yeah.
So we changed some things up for sure, but, you know, I have been in champion camp. I've never been in champion fight yet. I have been in many champion camps, right? Kamaru's been in many. Justin's been in many. Corey Sandhagen's been in many, or a couple, you know. So it wasn't like some big different thing to me. I've watched it. I've been a part of it. I've been the rounds that are the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
You know, I've been the guy who's pushing and being there. So it was just my turn, and that feels right. It is my turn.
Is there a benefit in seeing those guys go through a championship fight and knowing almost like what you expect of yourself in that kind of camp? Do they set a standard for you to raise yourself to in that regard?
Yeah, it's a championship standard for sure. In that whole room, you know, just what we were training, like the environment. If you, hopefully one day you can come to Denver and come check out.
I would love that.
Facility. It's beautiful. It's great. It's like top of the line.
We've got all the kit. I've got the gloves and the shin guard. We've got all the kit. We love the stuff. Yeah.
So hopefully sometime you come to Denver and we'll get you out there in the Onyx room and you can see the facility. It's great. But when you walk into the room, you'll feel it.
Yeah.
It's just a championship standard in there, and that's what, you know, is kind of expected if you're going to be training in the room. And it's the like unwritten rule kind of thing. And, you know, Justin coming off his high, finally getting his gold. He's achieved many accomplishments up until then, but to finally get the undisputed belt, you know, that helps push the room a little bit higher and being like, hey, look, you know, this guy is in this room and he doesn't want to do the workouts, but he does them, and he doesn't want to do that, and he does it, and he works hard, and you see the work that he does, and then you see the accomplishment that can come with it. Now, you know, do you believe enough to have that same trust?
Yeah. And you know what's even more interesting for me about this fight, because you're talking about your championship room. Have you thought about his championship room?
Of course.
Like what does it feel like to think, hang on a minute, somewhere in the world right now, I've got Khabib and Islam Makhachev and Umar and Usman and that whole Dagestani team, they're watching me trying to pull my game apart right now. How does that feel?
Feels right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does it feel good? Is it exciting that you've got such a heavyweight team against you?
Of course. It's like, it's like you've worked so hard, and then now that's part of the accomplishments and the rewards that come with it is, you know, once you get to that level and to that standard, you got the best preparing to be against you. And I'm in that position, and it feels good. But also in their stance, you know, they got the best on the other side of the world in a higher elevation in Denver, Colorado, in the mountains, the crazy mountains of Colorado, over the Rocky Mountains of the United States, looking after their views too.
Yeah. Here's a bit of a left field question for you. What were your thoughts when you watched Costello beat Eblen? I mean, Eblen, undefeated champ, no one could touch him, king of the division for years, and then all of a sudden Costello comes in and
Like that, yeah.
takes it off him. And,
Yeah.
and it has thrown the middleweight division into disarray.
It
Like, you
has.
have an opportunity to do that at lightweight right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that was, the 5th round, he started to slow down a little bit, and you could start to see things. I wouldn't say it was exactly going Costello's way,
Yeah.
but it was definitely moving that direction. You know, it's like he's definitely winning more exchanges and being able to scramble a little bit and defend some takedowns a little bit. And then it all happened in the last 10 seconds. And that just goes to show, like many other fights, is like self-belief until the end. You know, just trust yourself and your instincts and, you know, the capability of your body and your mind. And you never know. And then what's worst case scenario is that he loses that fight and he's like, dang it, I tried very hard, I did my best. Back to the drawing board, okay. And then the best case scenario was, instead of quitting with 12 seconds left, you reverse the position, you got to choke, and you choke the guy unconscious, you become world champion. So just believe in yourself.
Could it be that kind of fight for you, do you think?
Could
it be a long, drawn-out battle into the championship rounds?
That is, I would say, if I was a betting man, that's probably more likely to be the situation. Yeah, it's going to be tiring. It's going to be exchanges. It's going to be grappling. It's going to be scrambles. Both going to be breathing heavy. Maybe both of us are bleeding. I don't know. Definitely, probably my legs will be kicked up. My arms, you know?
You seem fine with it, though. You're smiling.
It's just what it is. You know, I've spent 16 weeks now understanding that this is probably what's going to happen. You know, it's not some makeshift fight that's put together here. You know, this is finally, in my career, the highest level fight that I could put together. And maybe the highest level fight that really is around, right? And for that, I have to also understand what it is that I'm getting myself into and what he's getting himself into. You know, he's going to be sore. He's going to be sore. And I am too. You know, he kicks a lot. He moves and does a lot of good things. And that's just a fight game, and I'm at peace with what's going to be of it on Saturday.
Do you think he's ready for that kind of fight? Do you think he's expecting that kind of fight from you?
Before, I had seen some interviews and some things and posts and stuff like that. I was kind of like, man, this guy's overlooking me. When I looked him in the eyes yesterday, he's not overlooking me. I have his respect. He is prepared. He knows the task and danger that's at his hand, just as I do.
You take that as a compliment?
For sure.
Yeah. So tell me about how you found martial arts. Mm-hmm. Like, what was the beginning of your journey in martial arts? You came from wrestling, right?
Correct. Yeah.
What about other sports? Did you play any other sports before?
A little bit. So it started early. My brother came home with a local flyer to the local wrestling club to my dad and handed it over to him. And my dad was like, "Yeah, I love wrestling," because my dad wasn't really a wrestler like that, but he watched wrestling and was a fan of it. So he was like, "Yeah, you guys want to wrestle? You can wrestle." So then, you know, I was just little brother following big brother.
Gotcha.
You know, he got the flyer, came home. So I was 4 and he was like, 6 or 7 years old. And I just followed him in. And ever since 4, you know, I went through the youth scene, won youth state title, went to high school, won a high school state title, went to college. Didn't win nationals. I fell short of All-American, but, you know, there were some really big tournaments that I did win. UWW Freestyle National Tournament at U20s. That was a really big tournament in Big 12s. It's a big conference out here in the States, and I won that as well. So that's kind of how it started. And then I graduated. This was kind of the crazy part. So I graduated from school and college, done with sports. Came home. I'm not like most wrestlers who were like, I'm going to get into fighting. I graduated from school, finished with sports. I move home and just get a sales job, and I'm working sales. And I go to just like a normal 24-hour fitness gym just to go lift weights and run on the treadmill. And I run into this guy who is my head coach still today. I run into him, and he wrestled at Wyoming. So he knew who I was.
Right.
And he came up, he's like, "Hey, are you Archie?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Hey, I'm Justin Sal's big fan. You guys had a great team this last season. Great job, great career." I was like, "Thanks." And he told me a little bit about himself. I fought in the UFC, you know, and I was like, well, I've always been interested in striking because I was an MMA fan and boxing fan as a kid as well. He's like, I've always been interested in striking. Can you teach me a little boxing? He was like, oh, sure. And we started hitting pads just a little bit, just on the side. 30 minutes this week, 30 minutes next week. You know, then it turned into 2 times a week and then 3 times a week. And then it came to the question like, hey, you think I could fight? He was like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And then now 16 fights later, he hasn't missed a fight. I haven't missed a fight. 16 straight, 3 amateur, 13 pro. We're fighting for a world title.
Wow. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Really cool. What was it? What was that first feeling when you started to crack pads, that connection that you were getting?
There was no connection. Man, I mean, the connection came. The punch hit the pad, but there was no spark.
Is that right? Yeah.
No, it was all so uncoordinated.
So how did you find your power then? Because you're
the power
cracking
was
now.
there.
Okay.
The power was always there, but
you just weren't
coordination
relaxing.
of
Right.
of being able to like feel a good punch, throwing a good jab from starting in your foot all the way out to your arm, that was nowhere to be found.
Really?
Yeah, it took a lot of repetition, a lot of time, and I was obsessed right away. Right away, I felt the reigniting flame from the wrestling career that ended right going into this. And I was like never thinking about wrestling or any of that anymore. And I was just wanted to train all the time. And then I, as an amateur, quit my job, started focusing on this. You know, had a long layoff in between amateur and pro because nobody wanted to fight me because I was a wrestler with 3 first-round knockouts. So we'd be like, hey, look, we got a wrestler. And they're like, oh, yeah, we'll take the fight. And then they look me up and they're like, we're not, this guy's not a wrestler. He's knocking guys out. You know, so
this guy can wrestle, but he's going to punch me in the face. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy how fast it goes. 5 years pro.
That's
and
awesome.
now fighting here in the biggest stage.
Has it gone quicker than you expected? Or is it coming at the right time?
I think it's coming at the right time.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I was a little impatient last year with Paul Hughes getting the second shot right after I had fought Mansoor, and they said that was #1 contender fight. I was a little upset by that, rightfully so, I think. But, you know, I'm a God-fearing man, and I think that everything happens on the time and the way that it should happen. You know, the Alfie fight, again, I think that in hindsight, it probably was just not meant to be in that moment for me to win the fight. And you give it another 6 months, and here we are in July, and I think it's time.
Do you allow yourself to think about next week? About how the week would be and if you've got the belt around your waist or not?
Man, no, not really. Got a lot of work to do in 2 days. I think that it's gonna feel great. I have 3 kids. My daughter's really small, but my boys are old enough to understand. You know, they're 4 and 3, and we have a spot picked out on our wall. That's where the belt's going, and they are fans. You know, they're my kids. It's really inspiring to be like a hero to your own child. You know, I never really comprehended that until they started, like, you know, kids will, you know, pick players to be and fight. You know, oh, I'm Hulk, I'm Spider-Man. My kids will be Archie Colgan.
That's amazing.
And it's amazing.
How do you use your journey? I mean, obviously you're still right in the middle of your journey. You know, how do you take your lessons and transfer them to your children, and help them understand that, you know, you sometimes you're not going to win. Sometimes you have to pick yourself up and go again. Yeah,
I mean, like, I think the best way to do it is to just show them. You know, somebody can be, you know, kind of out of shape and not living the disciplined style lifestyle, and then tell you, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, and you're like, well, you know.
Yeah.
But I just like show them what hard work is. And it's like anybody, any language across the world can watch somebody work out and understand what that does and how hard it is and how taxing and grueling it is. And that starts with kids. You know, my kids now like to work out just naturally because they come to the gym and they watch me work out and they do these things, and you know, they can see I'm physically tired and I don't want to do it. I go do it anyways, right? And I just hope that they understand how cool of a life that is for them.
Yeah.
You know, that they are just flies on the wall watching Uncle Justin and Uncle Kamaro and Dad work out,
Crazy.
and they just, they're just guys to them. But in one day, they'll be like, dang, that's pretty cool that, these guys were helping me work out and start that flame into their, ideally for me, wrestling championships and then, grow into that space in that world. But
well, that was going to be my next question. So at some point in the near future, your kids come up to you and they've got the flyer for the local MMA show and they're like, I want to do this. I want to do this. Do you have the same response? Are you like, let's go wrestling first? Or do you put them straight into MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing? How would you feel if you were in the corner and one of your kids was fighting?
I think that MMA is a little bit hard.
Yeah.
Because I think MMA is like any of the contact to the head pre 20 years old, there's like scientific proof that shows that your head's not done developing until like your brain's not done developing.
I'm the evidence, bro. I'm the evidence. I
Yeah.
started when I was 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to get kicked in the head when you're a kid. That's for sure. Yeah.
It doesn't stop developing until you're like 22, 23 as a man.
Right.
So, and that's kind of, I started at 24.
Right.
Right. So I'm not saying that they would have to do it the way that I did it, but they do have to wrestle. As the success of wrestling has left the blueprint everywhere.
For sure.
Like, look, a strong wrestling background just builds the fortitude and the repetition and the lifestyle discipline that you need to be a champion. And then can you figure out the striking and the jiu-jitsu and all of that? So if that's what they wanted, I would say you better get really good at wrestling, and then we can do some boxing, kickboxing on the side, but not in competition. No.
Gotcha.
Not just because of the brain contact. If they want to do jiu-jitsu, that's cool too. They could do that, but just because of the brain contact, until they're of a right age, and then if they make that decision as a man, or I have a daughter too, or as a woman, then that's something that I would want to help them in because, some fighters would say, I don't want this life for you, but I'm very happy with my life, and I think I have a really good life. So to say that I wouldn't want my kids to have this life, it'd be a lie,
It makes a lot of sense. Well, at what point did you realize that wrestling was the superpower in MMA and you had it already? Were there any fighters that were a good example of that? I mean, for my day, I grew up with, Mark Kerr, Mark Coleman, Matt Hughes, Sean Shirk. It was all take down, smash him into the corner of the cage and ground and pound. And I was developing in that world of mixed martial arts. Whereas because you're maybe a generation or two later, wrestling is so prevalent, but it can be used in so many different ways in an MMA fight now. It is the glue that holds it all together.
Yeah.
But you started with that, you know what I mean? So you must feel like you've got the right foundation to really excel.
Yeah. So I grew up watching, the Rampage and Pride, and then, doing my research on the guys, Kevin Randleman, and I'm like doing the research. I find these guys as fighters, not as wrestlers.
Right.
So Kevin Randleman, national champion from Ohio State, really good wrestler, but I found him as a fighter. I didn't know him as a wrestler. So I'm looking at these guys, and I'm like, oh, dang, this guy was a wrestler. This guy was a wrestler. Obviously I knew who Brock Lesnar was, but this guy's a wrestler. And then you just go down the line, it's like, dang, these guys are kind of scattered everywhere. Like, wrestling is really strong. And then you watch them fight. Brock Lesnar, probably more than the other guys, is really wrestling heavy, but the other guys, they're fighting. They're not just wrestling. Rampage wasn't out there just wrestling. Kevin Randleman definitely wasn't out there just wrestling. He was slamming people on their head for sure, but
Chuck Liddell, he was defending takedowns, knocking people
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know Chuck Liddell was a wrestler until like a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He kept it quiet for everyone that tried to take him down. They were like, man, this guy can wrestle.
Yeah. There's so many good people, but I think that what more than the skill set of being able to take you down or stop you from taking down, I think the importance of wrestling really comes down to, since you were a little kid, every day, whether you wanted to do it or not, you had to work really hard. And if you want to beat the guy, if I want to beat you next weekend at the tournament, I have to show up, I have to work hard, I have to do these workouts, I have to listen to my coaches, I have to get yelled at, I have to work the high crotch and the double leg 1,000 times. And then just the understanding that repetition is going to breed the success. I think that in itself, and then the disciplines that come with it as well, is more important, more valuable than taking somebody down or being taken down.
Yeah. So, something that stood out to me as well from wrestling, and this is something, because I grew up as a striker. So as a striker, you always want to kind of manage your energy so you don't get that feeling of fatigue.
Yeah.
A lot of the time when you see a striker in mixed martial arts, they start to feel that fatigue. They start to kind of panic a little bit. Whereas wrestlers, you are trained and drilled to function during fatigue.
Yeah.
I remember, do you remember Gregor Gillespie? I'm sure you remember that guy's name.
Yep.
He said, I knew that I had to get myself tired to make him tired.
Yeah.
And it's the idea as a wrestler that you can function tired and you know that this is a natural state for you.
Yeah.
That seems to be something that in mixed martial arts is really made a big difference as well. Because like good strikers, as soon as they start to get a bit tired, they get ragged and all out of shape. And wrestlers just seem to be able to have that composure.
Yeah.
Do you see that in the gym often? With like when someone's a wrestler, you know that they've got that grind in them that is not going to affect their confidence when they get tired.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you could just see them. Maybe the technique slips a little bit, and maybe like the prettiness of it and the finesse slips a little bit. But it like gets made up for in just like dog.
Yeah.
You can see people, they'll eat some shots and they'll just like come grab you, and then you're like, oh gosh, this guy won't stop. And sometimes, it's like guys coming after you, you're like, all right, I got him tired. And then they just bite down, and they, who does it the best, I think, is Justin.
Yes.
When he gets tired, well, first of all, if he's tired, then you're tired.
Yeah.
But once he gets tired, that's like when the fight really starts for him. It's like when we're both operating in a tired space, and he just like, it might look like he's like falling over or like not as finesse, but man, that guy, when he gets tired, like he obviously has forced you to be tired too, because he's tired. That means he's making you absorb the energy that he just put out, right?
Yeah.
And then the fight happens and people just aren't as sharp and they're not gritty there, and he does a really good job of it, and he's helped me see that same sort of thing.
Yeah. It must have been amazing to watch. I mean, all the guys that are training at your gym, but particularly right now with Gaethje and the way that his career has played out in recent, in recent years even. Like I was in Fight Island when he fought Khabib and lost by triangle, and it was in those moments, you see the whole room and the camera focuses on the person that's won and celebrating and all that. And for whatever reason, in that moment, my attention was on Justin. And it was like there was just a weight on him. It was like there was an uncertainty as to whether that was going to be the end of his career defined by that moment, or it was going to continue on. What was it like watching him win at the White House? I mean, I had tears in my eyes just because he's got that memory forever, and it must have been so special.
Yeah, I mean,
was it motivating for you as a teammate?
Yeah, 7 weeks ago.
Wow.
It was the I had been in camp obviously before that, but that's like the kickstart of the camp there. The 8 weeks. We've been, like I said, 16 weeks. I've been, preparing for this fight, but really like that last 8 stretch is where we really start to grind, and that was 7 weeks ago. So that kick started it off and being like, man, all the odds against you. Who cares? Everybody, thousands, millions of people saying you're gonna lose. As long as you, the 4 people in your corner, your parents believe in you, most importantly, you believe in you, you have a chance. Go do it.
What would his advice be before you walk out on fight night? What would Justin say to you if he
Don't
was
stop moving your feet.
Is that right? Yeah. Man, what a great team you've got. What a great group of people you've got around you to keep pushing you on as well. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Let's have one of these questions. So these are guys that have been on the show before. Pick one of these pieces of paper. It should have the person's name on it as well. And we always get a good question from these guys. I'm always interested to see what they're going to ask.
Which one of your victories means the most to you and why?
Who was that from? Has he got the name on it?
No name.
No name. Anonymous.
The anonymous one.
Okay, that's a good question. So one of your victories, which one means the most to you, and what's the reason for it? In the story so far, of course, because you're going to have plenty more to come.
Yeah, let's go. I will say that the Mansour fight.
Yeah, okay.
That one was a good one for me.
Is that because you knew how good he was and how well respected he was?
Yeah, he was like the only guy that debatably were saying that he beat Islam, and the guy's really good and he sweeps everybody. He was a really savvy veteran. He was only, and despite having all that success, he was only like 33 or 34. It's not like he was like an old guy, you know. So he was still like in good years. He's coming off of. I shared a couple cards with him. I think he came off a couple of, you know, finishes, submissions. Of 22 wins, it was like 19 submission finishes or something like that. You know, he was a really good fighter, sweeped everybody. And I had worked really hard to kill that sweep, and I did in the fight, killed the sweep, never swept me from there. If you went back and watched the fight, I had a deep head and arm triangle, and his toes are curled over in the cage. I would have submitted this guy. His toes are curled, holding in the cage for like 12 seconds the entire time. He's like holding thumbs up, and I'm like, if those toes are not in the cage and he can't relieve that pressure, I submit him, right? Go back and watch it in the second round. But that was my favorite fight because it was just a dog fight. I mean, he hit me with a good shot, rocked me. I fell back against the cage. I thought the cage was closer, so I fell, and it wasn't. So then I like had to come back up. But when I like did that, I came right into the guillotine. He guillotined me, had to slam my way out of it, give up. Now, like, it was just a dog fight, kind of, in a way that, you know, it was still 30-27, and I won dominantly, but it was like a dog fight. Yeah. It made me reach another level of myself that I knew I could have, but I had to expose it. And, you know, the ground and pound was just nasty in that fight.
So I remember that clearly. I remember the sound of it, in fact. Do you go back and watch your fights?
Yeah.
To pull them apart or to enjoy them, or both?
Both. I try to see some both sides. Like in the lead up of this camp, you know, I do an additional like 25-minute bike ride on like a lighter day of training. Like if I just spar that day, then, you know, maybe 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. I'll jump on the bike and just do like a 30-minute hard little push. Throw on a fight, either my fight or Usman's, and just watch. And I'll just switch my perspective, being like, okay, let's be critical of myself or let's be a fan of myself. And, you know, depending on whatever side I pick, then is how I approach the fight.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have a prediction? Do you have a way that you see this fight going?
My only way that I see this fight going is it's going to be a dogfight. You know, it's going to be tough. You know, I'm aware of that. I think he's aware of that as well. But I'm a dog, and I want this. I am hungry. You know, I've been working my ass off for years, but especially these last few months as well. And new. That's my only prediction that I can say by any means. Really tired, early, middle. Yeah.
I'm excited for you, bro. I'm excited for you. It's going to be a great fight.
It is.
Man, this crowd this week are in for an absolute treat. This card's great. The main event is it's going to set the standard for PFL fights for the future. I really think. I mean, two undefeated fighters, incredibly well-rounded, both come from solid teams. Oh, what a fight it's going to be. Thanks for your time. I appreciate you. I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you, Dan.
Really, really interesting. This has been Between Rounds, presented by Guerrilla Energy. I'm Dan Hardy. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you watch this fight. The undisputed PFL Lightweight Championship on the line. Usman Nurmagomedov taking on Archie Colgan. Do not miss it. We'll see you after the next one.